on the USA. The day after. They know who did it, but why couldn't they stop it? And what can be done for all the people trapped beneath all that? This is a special extended edition of The National. Good evening, I'm Peter Mansbridge. George W. Bush says they are acts of war, the worst terror attacks in the history of the United States. For the U.S. president and the American people, the day after was another extraordinary day.
This is an enemy that tries to hide, but it won't be able to hide forever.
The hunt for the attackers moved into high gear. In Boston, where the flights originated, investigators searched for suspects. In New York, rescue teams searched for survivors. But the task is enormous, the mood grim.
Gone into war zones, and this is just the worst thing that can ever happen.
At the Pentagon, emergency crews worked carefully, sifting through rubble, counting the missing. Around the world, signs of support for the United States.
It is important that Americans know that their allies and their friends around the world do stand shoulder to shoulder with them.
And sympathy for the thousands of casualties, the injured, and their families. Thousands of investigators are working around the clock, and today the FBI said it has followed up dozens of leads and that it knows the identity of most of the hijackers. The CBC's David Holton joins us now from Washington with more on this massive investigation. David.
Peter, the FBI says that the scale of this investigation is absolutely unprecedented. They've deployed more than 7,000 agents and support staff, and today it appeared that that effort was beginning to pay some big dividends.
Look out! Look out!
In Boston, agents and police searched 2 hotel rooms where hijackers may have stayed before their suicide flight to New York. Earlier, officials said they found an Arabic-language flight manual in a rental car believed to have been used by the hijackers. In Halifax, RCMP officers examined a car that may be related to the U.S. investigation. In Florida, another apparent breakthrough. FBI agents visiting a house where 2 of the hijackers allegedly stayed while they trained at a local flight school.
We also have identified through a number of leads, principally at the cities of origin, a number of individuals whom we believe may have had something to do with the hijackings, and we are pursuing those leads aggressively.
Already, the Justice Department says it's learned that between 3 and 6 hijackers boarded each one of the 4 aircraft used in the suicide attacks. It says some of them were skilled pilots who were trained in the U.S. And according to cell phone calls from passengers, the hijackers were armed with knives and box cutters.
The Department of Justice has undertaken perhaps the most massive and intensive investigation ever conducted in America.
Officials also said that the White House was the original target of the terrorists aboard the jetliner that slammed into the Pentagon. Then an even more startling claim that President Bush's zigzag flight to Louisiana and Nebraska yesterday happened because Air Force One itself was a target.
I'm not going to lead you any further as to speculating about what was the nature of the threat to Air Force One. But as I indicated, and I'll say it again, it was real, it was credible.
Outside the U.S., the effort to track down Osama bin Laden was accelerating. Some officials here say they're convinced that the Islamic holy warrior, based in Afghanistan, was the mastermind of the terror attacks. Secretary of State Colin Powell wouldn't go that far, but he said the U.S. will punish both the terrorists and the countries that give them safe haven.
Our spirits will not be broken. The resilience of this society will not be broken. We will find out who is responsible for this, and they will pay for it.
So at the end of a long and intense day, the authorities here appear to be quite satisfied that real progress is being made in the investigation. But they're denying reports that arrests have already been made, saying only that a number of suspects are being detained for questioning. Peter?
David Holton on the streets of Washington tonight.